Hey, welcome into this edition of the GASOcast. You got the crew with you. You got Gaso Blue at iFilm Hoopers and me at Gaso Mass. Things to look forward to this week. Well, we've got a Gaso loaded field. Very excited for it. We're going to be running a Drive Nation, and it's going to be fun. Other things we got
Fact.
going: a cup of hoops, Mass and Blue that will drop later this week. Sponsored by Synergy, Recruiting Simplified newsletter, the Gaso Fast Break with the Gaso Extra. And then next week we have the Spring Championships, which Michael, tell us about it.
Yeah. We're going all brackets. So, I mean, you play to win every single weekend, but next weekend in our spring championships, you're playing to win a championship. And already looking at the field list that we have, it's going to be very fun for us to start figuring out who's going to be in what bracket. And I'll just say this, there's no bracket you're going to be able to hide in or cruise in if that's what you're looking for. So for all our teams that are playing next weekend, come ready to play because it's going to get interesting very, very quickly. But here at GASO, we love brackets. We love playing for something, and we're excited to bring that to you full force April 26th.
Make sure you're following us for all the Gaso content we are about to drop. These back-to-back weeks, they are insane because it feels like we're just jumping from one thing to another thing to another thing. But it is a fun time of year. It's just players galore, and we're looking forward to it. So, with that being said, who's going to be hopping on the Gaso wave this weekend? The teams that will be making their debut in 2024 at the Gaso. Timmons, I'm going to pass it to you.
Yeah, how about ATX Future? Looking at their schedule, I don't know how many times we'll get to see them up close and personal, but they know when Terry Smothers brings that group to GASO, they know what to expect. And I feel like we always get to see some of their best basketball. And with the schedule we've given them this week, I'm excited to see how the likes of Judson Lowe and Josiah Hallman stack up. Mass, I know you like Josiah a lot. And for what's one of the reasons?
The dude's always touting how many charges he takes, and I am so here for it. Like, it is such a unique take to be able to promote yourself as a guy who leads the state in taking charges. It's about the only thing I could do, just get in the way of someone tumbling down towards me. So, I respect it, and I'm hoping he takes some for me this weekend. But yeah, ATX Future is a fun group. I'll hop in here with Jay Uno, NXT 17U, Landon Short, a guy who's just been on the up ever since last summer, is coming in here with a point to prove, and I love watching him kind of run the show and kind of how he did it for ATX Lockdown this year or last year. And seeing how it will all kind of come together with Jay Uno. They are stacked. They have a ton of depth at the guard position, and they should be a fun team to watch this weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Pro Skill 16U, EYBL, Keontae Graybear, Seven Spurlock, Cameron Lomax, Noah Hill. That's just four out of the roster guys. I mean, that right there is a lot of star power. Guys that are going to be able to go and score on you, play the lockdown defense. I mean, whoever's going to face these teams, because it's not at the top of my head, sorry, but they're just going to be out there just running, I think, the court there. And it's going to be, it would be like if it's a, king of the court type situation. I mean, they're just full of athletes and star power.
Mike?
Yeah, my next one, Gulf Coast Blue Chips 15U. When you talk about who they're playing, they're going to get their pop at Drive Nation and Pros because EYBL 15U team. And I'm really excited to see Chase Richardson and Xavier Muhammad. Just two dudes that, as Gaso Next Gen prospects down that Houston area, have really started to carve out a name for themselves with their consistent and really, really fun play. So I'm excited to see those two make that drive up 45 and get to it this weekend.
Yeah, and then Drive Nation 16U EYBL. I just love the intensity they bring, their guard play, DK Spears, Xavier Green, Trent Parrott. They're just loaded from top to bottom. Xavier Robertson. Just a fast team that's really going to get after you, and they're going to bring it from the tip. Everything that group does, every time I've seen them, it's just done professionally. Like, it's just like, we're going to go in here, take care of business, we're going to leave. Like, there's just no antics about. They just go take care of their business, and I love teams like that. And yeah, I think they're one of the top EYBL 16 groups in the nation.
Yeah, Trent Perry was up at Made Hoops in Oklahoma last week and doing East Bay in games. So I'm curious to see what he can bring when it's a home court advantage. maybe a reverse through the legs East Bay dunk, reverse dunk, something like that. But you have to bring us something. You got to bring something to the GASO, Trent.
We'll be
Something
there to cover it, Trent. So do something special, and it will be all over the place, brother. Moving into our next segment, who's making noise? This is just a prospect who's left an impression on you at one of the previous GASOs. Blue, I want to pass it to you first.
Christian Thomas, Gulf Coast Blue Chips, I mean, he just looks stronger, bigger. He's so versatile on both sides of the ball. Excuse me. I mean, he can guard you at the 2, 3, 4 and dip down, and sometimes even with a bigger post player just because he's so strong. He's athletic. He's able to play with bounce, and he's just a guy that we saw in Houston that gets from one end to the other very quickly. So I look for him to continue his momentum.
Timmons, let's talk about a 2027 who caught your eye last week.
Yeah. So it's funny because Princeton Bynum caught my eye, and I thought he was a 2026 at the time just because he's playing up with that TJ Ford 16U team. But when I got confirmation from Mass that he's like, no, he's a freshman, I was like, oh, my GASO next gen mine just started. My eyes were it was unbelievable. He was getting to it off the bounce, knew how to operate in the pick and roll like a seasoned veteran. The body, the frame, everything's right there. Just a prospect that I cannot wait to continue to track.
He's a fun one. I'll stick with the 2027 trend here with Armani Green. I had talked about him last week, and I had thought, or I may have put him in the fast. I can't even remember where I put him. But the thing with Armani is I was like trying to pick someone new and original, and Armani just kept coming back to my mind because he made such an impression on me. He just impacted the game in its totality. He got to the rim, he made steals, and he just played really hard. And for a freshman to kind of have that recipe, strong build, Armani's got a very bright future. Mike?
Yeah, another one for me, Canon McGilvery, YGC 16U team. The blend of speed, quick twitch, above the rim athleticism, it's just scary. The first thing I said when I saw him last year early on was like the arms, the length, the wingspan was going to cause havoc defensively. So he takes that, and now he's like just explosive in transition. And the way that team plays with Spencer on the rim, those two specifically stood out for that YGC 16U team. When you have the Almutter twins on the wing, just mixing it up, they're very fun. So I think somebody like McGilvery leading the charge to play a run and gun style of offense that suits that squad very well. He does it at a high level.
When I think back to what we saw just last weekend, it's Lucas Hobbin sticks out in my head still, for TJ Ford Academy 17U, and he's from Houston Straight Jesuit. He's a guy that can get hot. He can knock down those threes. Defensively, he can step and guard you and push the ball away from the paint. And then he can also play a little bit of inside when you get into a little bit of trouble, or go be a double off the help. So Lucas Hobbin is a guy that just really sticks out to me.
Yeah, and I'll hop in here to wrap this segment up. But Trey Busby from Bridgeland, I tweeted about him. I think I just put his name for a standout, and he's a really good player. But I kind of like what he's doing. He's playing on the NY2LA Texas Takeover group, and you can tell he's just the guy, and he's having to make plays and have just a high usage rate, and he's a bucket getter. Trey's a really, really good player. I've seen him now in 3 times, and the first time I saw him was at the Pasadena Memorial Tournament, and I just sat down and I didn't really kind of know who I was watching. I was like, man, that kid keeps just making plays. And then I saw him 2 weeks ago at Two Cities One GASO, and I was like, oh, that dude can go. And he was just doing his thing. Really enjoyed watching Trey make plays. And then you and I saw him at Cy Hoops. Michael, it was the same kind of thing. You were like, who is 12? And I was like, yeah, it's Trey Busby. He's kind of a sleeper. He's a really good player.
Yeah, and when you get to it on a Friday night to start the GASO off, so because Friday nights we got to set up the gym. There's anticipation of the season for the weekend. So when you have a guy like Trey Busby come in and get right to it, it almost elevates all of our energy. We're like, all right, the GASO's officially started. So shout out to you, Trey, for getting crazy on a Friday night.
Yep. Let's talk matchups. We got a lot of good ones this week. Blue, who's yours?
Houston Superstars, Pro Skill 17U, EYBL, TK Lawson, BJ Gill, Anthony Avalos for Houston Superstars. They're going to face one of their counterparts right there from the city with Bryson Wheatfall playing for Pro Skill 17U EYBL, along with Jeremiah Green, who's coming in on Friday night to start working right there on the court. And you're talking about speed on both sides with Jeremiah Green with the ball, one of the best penetrating guards that can get into the paint. Love to see what BJ Gill could really do about that. So hopefully we get that matchup right there. That's one that I'm calling out. Let's see what BJ Gill and Jeremiah can do against each other. And then also TK Lawson, an unsigned senior that he played great at the GASO last week, along with Anthony Avalos, who can very versatile. I just think there's so many little storylines that can pop from this. And Bryson Wheatfall for Pro Skills can score the ball.
Mike?
Yeah, for me, J Uno versus Drive Nation 17 UIBL. I believe that's a Sunday game. That'll make a late Saturday night and early Sunday morning for us feel a little bit better when you walk into that matchup. I will say this: there's a prospect in this game that was very excited that we gave him this. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. But when you look at both sides, we got to see Drive Nation at 2 Cities 1 GASO. Leroy Kelly is one of the stock risers, making a lot of big name for himself. He's shooting the ball at a high clip. I just get excited to see that. Jaden Toombs will be back. He was at Team USA last time we had a chance to see Drive Nation. Then on J Uno, you mentioned Landon Short. Looking at their roster, looks like they'll have Ryan Dupree as well. Two guys that coming from that ATX lockdown program a year prior like to play in big-time games and big-time matchups, and they won't be afraid of this moment at all. So I'm excited to see a good Sunday matchup between a J&O team, which my boy Jalen Shedd's always must-see on the sidelines as well, full of energy. I'm just excited for this matchup. Great Sunday matchup between those two.
And then my matchup, I'll start with 2PMB versus United Elite. And the thing I love about 2PMB is they just bring it. Every single game, you know what you're getting from them. They're tough. They've got great players all over the court, and they defend. And then United Elite, the last time Davon Hewitt had a moment that stuck out in the UIL spring with hitting the buzzer beater. He's gotten a lot better. How could you not playing behind and with Josiah mostly all year? So I'm really looking to see where he's at in his game and kind of where he stacks up against the rest of the 2025s. And what a game to do it against a physical, tough, fast 2PMB team. Now,
absolutely.
We do have a bracket this weekend, and we're really excited about that portion of the event. So let's talk about some of the teams who you can see making a run. Blue, I'm going to pass this one to you to start us off.
Team that I'm looking forward to in the bracket play is SA Hoops Elite with Ben Wagner and Sean Tisdale, two guys that can get after it on the scoring side of things. And just as a team, they're going to play hard, 94 feet. They're going to guard you. They're going to go to the rim and go get rebounds. And Coach Shabase just really thinks that this is one of his better teams since 2020 when they're coming to a lot of GASOs and just wreaking havoc on people. So he feels like he has a really good squad.
Mike?
Yeah, for me, that Pro Skills 2025 Patel team, they went our season 1 GASO, and we have a little private analytics thing we do with GASO that had them pretty high up in that power rankings list that we look at. But when you look at Jake Westbrook, Gavin Monroe, Pierce Patel hitting threes, and Tate Zim, I have trouble saying his last name every time.
Zimkowitz. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry.
Yeah. Hey, you're getting the shout out. They just play the right way. They might not be the biggest team, the most athletic team, but they're going to get open shots and they're going to take advantage of every opportunity. So a team that went 3-0 at 2 Cities 1 GASO, I just feel like they're going to just be able to navigate their way through this bracket and be in any game that they play. So shout out. I'm going
to wrap us up here with R&J Elite 16U. Keon Williams of LD Bell kind of leads this team and makes plays for this team. He's one of my favorite sleeper prospects in the 2026 class. He's so under control, knows how to make plays, can dribble, pass, shoot. Just a very well-rounded player who just ho-hums, always takes care of business, and he's always getting it done, for the lack of a better term. So it wouldn't shock me if they made a big run here in the bracket, and that will be something we are definitely keeping our eye on this weekend. That's going to wrap up this edition of the GASOcast. We'll see you next time.